What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're super excited, super pumped to be out camping in the woods and testing out two new fun products from Stoke Voltaics. One is a fully electronic cooking kettle. The other one is a multi-function flashlight. This cooking kettle may be a game changer for your camping and overlanding cooking setup. So let's get cooking and check this thing out. I would love to introduce you to the Joule fully electric kettle. I know what you're thinking, this looks an awful lot like things that are already available on the market. So what makes this different? Fully electric, requires no propane or alternate fuel sources. So as long as you have a viable power source, you can cook all kinds of things. There's some exciting features here I want to get into. But let's go ahead and check out what you get in the box. Well, in the box, and everything you need is found right here in the kettle. And that's awesome for packability and portability. We'll start off with the lid. The lid's awesome. There's a little recipe in here that we'll get to later, but the side of this is a measuring cup, so you can measure out whatever ingredients you need to cook within the kettle. It's got a vent side and it's got a sip side, so you can sit by the fire, drink a hot chocolate, just really enjoy this thing. The lid's got you covered for that. Within you have a power cord with a nice Velcro strap to keep it all organized, no big power brick or anything like that. Everything's found within the bottom of the kettle itself. Really nice. You've got your basic instruction booklet with a really basic popcorn recipe in there. We'll get to that towards the end. And then who doesn't love stickers? On the outside of this, you're gonna find a really nice soft touch neoprene liner. It's gonna keep your hands protected from the hot contents inside. It's got a fun handle that you can slide your hand through to support it, a D-ring if you wanted to clip it to something. This liner comes off so you can keep your unit nice and clean. Down here is the brains of the kettle. You get your power switch, some multi-function switches down here. That's gonna induce each different cooking mode that you might use and need. And we'll talk about those as we go through them. On the back here, we have a really nice waterproof and dustproof cover protecting our power outlet. And that's gonna be the only exposed power outlet in the whole unit itself. And like any electronics, you probably don't wanna submerge it when you wash it. So just be mindful of that while you're cleaning. All right, so for our first baseline test, we're just gonna fill it up with water, no ingredients, and then we're gonna see how much power it pulls from the power bank, how long it takes to boil. And we have these handy fill lines on the inside so we can measure and repeat experiments if we have to, but it's also gonna help you cook and bake with this item. We're filled up to the max line. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but that's 16 ounces. So if you're tracking how much this can hold, it's 16 ounces. All right, we're gonna get this thing all hooked up and kicked off, and we're gonna see how long it takes to boil. Hey, a watch pot never boils. Not bad for an initial test. We came to about a simmer at about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. A rolling boil about 720. Let's talk about some things here. We didn't have the lid on because I wanted you to see the boil, obviously. That let some of the heat escape. Might have affected some of our boil times itself. The other thing is this was rated for 500 watts. We were only pulling about 448 to 453. I don't know if that 50 watts is gonna make a huge difference on how quickly the water comes to a boil or not, but we were pulling about 448. It's pretty thirsty when it comes to power wise, so we are lucky we're running the Zero Breeze Elect Hive 2500 watt hour power bank, so we can cook with this thing multiple meals throughout the day. The smaller power banks are gonna suffer, so something to think about. But what I really thought was pretty cool about this is once it came to a rolling boil, about 7 minutes and 20 seconds, it turned itself off. It recognized that it reached the temperature it needed to, and it kicked itself down to the lower temperature to keep it warm, but it stopped it from boiling. So that's pretty cool for drink mode. That's the mode that we were in. Like I said, there's a drink and eat and a popcorn mode down here in the switch, and I keep telling you and I keep promising that we're gonna get to each one of these modes as we go, but the drink mode is gonna be the one that is gonna boil your water the fastest. It's gonna spike up to about 500 watts and it's gonna hold that wattage so you can get a nice hot temperature within the hot plate of the kettle itself. And the water was just boiling like you saw, but I can reach over here, I can touch it. The insulated outside works really, really well. If this was a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, I could go sit by the fire and enjoy this and not burn my hands. But if it's cold out, it will keep your hands kind of warm. So it's an added bonus they don't advertise. So let's see what else we can do with this awesome kettle. Now that we boiled our water, the only logical thing that I can think to do is to make some delicious tea. and some coffee. So we just showcased drink mode. What that means basically is the system was at 500 watts the entire time, brought your water or your drink up to a rolling boil as quickly as possible. We're gonna switch over into the second function out of the three, into eat mode. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna bring your system up to 500 watts as quickly as possible, but then it's gonna quickly drop down to about 240 watts, so your food is more of a temperature that you like to eat. Nobody likes to put scalding food in their mouth and burn the roof of their mouth. So we're gonna go ahead and try out cooking some soup in the kettle and see how long that takes and see what that's like. But I'm pretty excited about how this is looking so far. Appetizing. That's about 3 minutes in, and I can already hear the soup kind of boiling a little bit. It feels warm to the touch. I'm excited because I think we're almost ready to eat this thing. Pretty quick, pretty tasty. So we just watched on the power bank us go from 450 watts down to 211. So we made that shift from that initial heat up down to that more edible temperature. So now the soup is just about ready to eat whenever you're ready and whenever you're comfortable with the temperature. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dig in. A hot dinner in about 4.5 minutes. What more could you want? Now we're moving on to what I think is one of the coolest features of this, and something I haven't seen before. So if it's out there, I haven't seen it. But we're gonna make some popcorn within the kettle itself. So our third function says pop. It's what it's designed for. And like I told you before, the lid doubles as a measuring cup. So the first thing that we're gonna do is put our dry kernels on the top of the lid itself, and that is gonna be the measuring amount for the kernels that are gonna go into the kettle. And now the other thing that we have to do is fill this raised section that you'll find on your lid full of butter or oil. And that's how you're gonna know that you have enough. That would be enough. Dump that in. Throw that lid on. Make sure you're on pop function. Press your pop button. While we're waiting for this bad boy to start popping the popcorn, I just want to tell you that popcorn on a camping trip is an OVERLANDeRoos family tradition. So to be able to have another option to make, whether it be Jiffy Pop or in the kettle here for a snack for the girls, is primo. And I think we're going to get the most use out of that function alone. I'm just really excited to start hearing this thing pop. Dang it, we forgot to feed Piper. All right, so we're gonna hit some mac and cheese in this thing. Normally you would bring your water to a boil and then add the pasta. This time, because it does use energy, we're thinking energy conservation as we go. We're gonna add the pasta, let it come to a boil with the pasta already in the water, and I think that's gonna work out the best for us. Obviously we're not gonna be able to do the whole box, but we should be able to do enough to get Piper well fed and satiated before bed. We added about half the box. We're gonna utilize drink mode on this one because that's gonna bring it to a boil and hold it at a boil. I think that's gonna work the best. This time we're gonna use the lid, see if we can't bring this to a boil a little faster. Hey, while this is boiling, I just wanna bring up the fact that we've been cooking like non-stop with this thing. And at least on the Zero Breeze Elect Hive unit, we've only come down to about 93%. So we've only used about 8% of our battery bank. We've cooked probably 4 or 5 meals at this point. This is a sustainable method for cooking some meals for you and your family down the trail. This will also work on an EB3A or Blue Eddy, like I said, but that will take a bigger hit. If you got a dual battery system or even a inverter in your vehicle, and if you're feeling brave, you could even make hot coffee in your truck on the side of the trail in inclement weather at your own risk. We didn't tell you to do that. It might be a little crazy, but there's no open flame here. It's just an electric kettle. Really cool features associated with this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and let this mac and cheese come to a boil. I'm not gonna bore you with that. You've seen water boil before. Well, it's time to strain the pasta from the dual electric kettle itself. And really, they've thought of everything. On the lid, they have a whole straining section right here. So as long as you put the lid on and support it, you can use the lid to strain the water from your pasta, and then you'll have dry pasta to add your cheese to, which will make Piper super happy. I was just thinking of, who would this kettle be for and who would it not be for? I think for any overlander or vehicle-based adventure, I think this kettle would be perfect for. Your backpackers, however, maybe not so much. My friends in RVs or sailboats, this might be an awesome option. I just think it would be hard to carry a kettle in a backpack and a power source for it in a way that it would be sustainable. So I think as long as you're in a vehicle or at a campsite with a dedicated electrical power, I think that might be the best option to use something like this. And man, we're just really excited. The more we use it, the more I can think of ways that I would use it to cook my meals, or places that I think that this would come in really handy. All right, we've had our delicious dinner. We're not big s'more people in the OVERLANDeRoos family, but we are chocolate fondue people. So we're gonna go ahead and kick this off and make some chocolate fondue inside the dual electric kettle. See how this goes. I'm thinking it's gonna be awesome. I'm pretty excited. We have our charcuterie board of things that we're gonna dip in there over here on the side. A little bit like s'mores. So let's go ahead and put our chocolate in here. We're gonna use the eat mode for this one. We don't wanna bring the chocolate to a boil. We just wanna melt it down. I'm gonna stir it as it melts and try to get this thing to not burn on the bottom of the dual electric kettle. There's no recipe for this. We're just kind of winging it and seeing how it goes, but I guess I'm pretty high hopes for this. All right, so to wrap it up, we're all pretty well fed at this point, but I just wanted to show you guys some of the examples of things that you can make within your dual electric kettle. As you can see, these are the things that we have inside of our pantry when we go camping typically, and these will all work inside the kettle as well. The world is your oyster. Use your imagination, come up with some awesome, delicious meals. As far as general build quality and whether or not I think it's worth the $99 that they're asking for it right now, I do. I think that this is gonna be a great addition to our Overland pantry kit. It's just so many options. It heats things up pretty quickly. This will be a great way to make coffee in the morning or make mac and cheese for Piper on the trail. Even on the trail side, we often struggle quite a bit with giving Piper cold mac and cheese because she loves mac and cheese. One of the only things she'll eat. But this opens up an opportunity for us to give her some more mac and cheese as a quick trail stop on the side of the trail. I'm excited to have this. I think overall the build quality is sturdy and good. It heats up things relatively quickly. The only downside that it is power hungry in certain modes, right? So your drink mode is gonna pull 500 watts. If you're running this off like the Bluetti EB3A, that's gonna take a pretty big hit to your power bank. It will run it, the smaller banks will run it. But if you don't have a way to quickly recharge that, you're gonna be limited to a couple meals out of this before you have a dead power bank. The bigger power banks can handle it just fine. We're ranging anywhere from 500 watts down to 160 watts depending on the mode. The popcorn mode is the lowest. The build quality is great. The insulating outer cover works really, really well. This seems sturdy enough that I could just go sit by the campfire, eat my meal, drink my coffee, and just have a really enjoyable meal. Whereas before I had to bring out all the camp stoves and the propane and things like that. Great option. I'm excited to have it. I think that you guys would be excited to have it too. I reached out to Stoke Voltaics and asked for a discount for you guys. So if you use the code OVERLANDeRoos10, and I'll link it in the description below, that'll save you 10% off of the $99 asking price. I think it's a great deal. So go ahead, follow the link and grab yourself one as well. Obviously not at the campsite anymore. We're back in our studio area, and I'm excited to show you the Stoke Voltaic's multi-function flashlight. It seems a little bulky at first, it's a little big, but its functionality is what's going to drive its form factor. This isn't just a flashlight, this is also a hanging lantern, an emergency signal, a hand warmer, and a power bank. This thing checks a lot of boxes, and I'm excited to walk you through the functionality. I was taking a moment to kind of look at this thing and see everything that we got going on here so we can talk through it. And I'm gonna dive deeper into each one of these functionalities as we go. But just at a base level, on the front face of this, we have two LED lights. That's gonna be your flashlight mode. On your sides, you're gonna find these LED panels that flip up and they're positionable to a degree, but they don't rotate. So they're just gonna come out of the side of this thing, and this is gonna be your like your lantern mode or your emergency beacon. And then on either side of this thing, you're gonna find a couple different aluminum panels. This is your hand warmers. This is the side that's gonna get warmed up and keep you nice and toasty by the campfire. On the back side of this, you have your functionality switches. In the middle, it's kind of hard to see, but there's also a battery meter and a charge meter on this. And then as we flip to the back side of this, you're gonna see that we have our USB-C charging port as well as our USB Type A power bank side, and that's gonna offer a lot of functionality. We're gonna talk about that here in a second too, but that's an exciting addition to the flashlight. I love things that are multi-function and you can use them for different purposes. And then lastly, you have your hanger here for your lantern mode. You could clip it to something, your backpack or the bottom of a tent or anything like that. But this is gonna allow you to hold and hang your flashlight securely. All those awesome features we just talked about are gonna be housed in an IPX4 waterproof body. What does that mean to you? Your light rain, your splashing, your dust is all gonna be kept outside of the body of this thing. It's gonna preserve your functionality and it's gonna keep this thing working for a long time to come. As far as flashlight functionality goes, it's a pretty diverse setup here. And we're talking about our LEDs up front on the front face as well as our adjustable panels here. You have 3 brightness levels, 4 color tones, about 8 lighting modes, 15 glowing combinations as a whole. This is coming in right about 6,000 Kelvin for color temperature, 480 lumens for up to 22 hours. As far as the flashlight goes, it's well-rounded. Like I said, this flashlight falls in around 480 lumens at its highest setting. It's not super bright, but it's enough, it's sufficient. This flashlight is designed to illuminate your camp area. It's designed to help you traverse the woods in the dark, things like that. It's not a tactical room clearing flashlight. You're not gonna blind anybody. But 480 lumens is gonna give you about 65 feet of visibility. It's gonna be visible on the other end for way longer than that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it's coming in about 140 lumens. That's gonna give you about 40 feet of visibility. Again, plenty for what this flashlight is designed to be. Hopefully you guys can see that. We have our 2 buttons in the back. So the first button here, it looks like the flashlight button. That's exactly what it is. It's gonna be your front-facing flashlight, and then you can see the battery meter illuminate when you do that. And that's how you cycle through the functions as well. You can see it off of my chest on my shirt that it's changing functions. Then we have a flashing mode. The other button that you're gonna see down here, hopefully this comes into focus here in a second, is gonna be your side LED panels. And those also cycle through the different functions. And I'll show you all those. We have amber, and then our emergency beacon that you can get yourself into trouble with if you're not careful. And then you can also use them in concert with each other and adjust different settings for different things. You can have your sides flashing while your front is solid, amber on the panels, as well as your LEDs being white for whatever you want to use them for. But that's how you get through that functionality. Now I'll walk you through each one here specifically as we go. All right, so let me show it to you forward facing so you guys can kind of see what's going on here. We're going to talk specifically about our front-facing LEDs. So we have our high setting. That's the setting that's going to come on the first time you click the button. The second time you click the button, we're going to go into our low setting. And then our third time we click the button, we will have our flashing emergency beacon. I don't mean to blind you guys, I'm sorry. But this is going to be an emergency signal, maybe a dance party in the tent. I'm not really sure what you want to use it for. I'll let you guys figure that out as you go. So the 4th time you click it, you're just gonna go ahead and turn that functionality off altogether. The side panels, these LED panels, are gonna follow a similar pattern of how we turn them on and off and cycle through our colors. So the first time we turn it on, we have our high LED panels, and both sides are gonna come on, and we flip that out for you. And then you're gonna go down to your low setting, and then you're gonna click it again. You're gonna go into your flashing mode. So if you want all things flashing, now we have a fun way to blind all our friends. And then we can go into our high amber, and then we have our emergency beacon. I don't recommend putting this on your dashboard and pulling your friends over. Use it at your own risk, but you can get into a lot of trouble with flashing red and blue lights, and a lot of states have some laws and regulations against using this, so proceed with caution. It's there designed to get people's attention in case of emergency, and I have a feeling that if you were to use it in that regard, you'd be okay, but don't take my word for it, consult lawyers. Use common sense. And then you click it again, it turns all things off. Now I kind of showed you before a little bit that if we cycle through and we go to low here, we can also have different settings and different uses. So we can have different combinations here to use our light. So maybe we want an emergency beacon, but we also need to light up our work area. Maybe we're changing a tire or providing first aid or something like that. So we need our light, but we also want to alert people. This is a good way to maybe accomplish that task. So like I said, 15 different combinations that you can do with these lights. Let me stop blinding you. I think there's a combination and a functionality for just about any way you'd want to illuminate your campsite or alert people that you need help or are in distress. Now, something to note about the amber color that they're providing. They're stating, and I haven't tested this, and this is kind of their science and not mine, so something you can experiment with, but they're stating that the amber color is gonna drive and repel the mosquitoes and bugs away. I guess they don't like the amber, and I've heard that before. Like I said, I've not tested it. I have no experience with that, but this is something that they're claiming, that if you use the amber mode, it will help keep the mosquitoes away and at bay. Something worth trying, I think, especially here in Florida. They can get pretty gnarly. So I'm excited to see if that's gonna work, because if that works, that's gonna be a pretty big game changer for us out on the campsite. All right, something else worth mentioning, I think, to give you an idea of what you're getting into with this flashlight. The SOS mode and the emergency beacon mode on the front facing here, they're claiming with a fully charged battery, if you were to illuminate this and leave it, it would run for about 400 hours before the battery was dead. That's an incredible amount of time to be found, located, and offered services if they were needed. So with a half battery, I guess it's 200 hours. You can do the math from there. However, if you're switching between modes, you're using it as a flashlight for long periods of time, switching it back to SOS, obviously it's going to affect your battery time. And remember, your battery meter is on the back, so you can keep track of that as you go. All right, so I had mentioned previously, this is also a power bank. So we have our charging port and our charging port on here as well, USB Type A and Type C. I'm really excited to find that they use Type C on these. A lot of times you'll find that they're using the micro USB still. And there's just not a lot of things that are still using micro USB. So you have to hang onto that cord just for one thing. And I really hate that. So the fact that we have USB Type C on here is huge. But this is a 15,000 milliamp hour power bank. So it's gonna charge your completely dead average phone about 4 times before itself is dead. Now, keep in mind that if we're using it as a flashlight, a hand warmer, and a power bank, it's gonna take a pretty big hit to that storage capacity and how many times you're gonna be able to charge your phone. But as a whole, I think that this offers a pretty unique option as far as flashlights go out on the campsite. If you want to charge your phone to illuminate your kitchen or your work area doing dishes, or charge your phone as you're warming your hands up by the fire, some cool features there, some cool functionality. And all that's housed behind this nice waterproof, it's sturdy, it kind of clicks into place, sealing off the contacts there from all the weather, giving it that IPX4 rating. Rubber gasket here, really nice, soft touch. I think it's gonna hold up really well. One of the coolest features I think of this flashlight, something I think we're gonna use quite a bit, especially my wife or kids, by the campfire, is the hand warmer side. And like I said, these shiny metallic sides is what it's gonna warm up to about 104 degrees, and that's gonna last for about 11 hours if you were to use it continuously. So you have some pretty warm hands there. 104 degrees is that nice, soft, gentle heat. It's not gonna be too aggressive, it's not gonna burn you. If you leave it on in your pocket or next to something plastic, it's not gonna melt the plastic. But just be aware of the safety concerns around something that heats up that you're supposed to hold. Be cautious around that. But 104 degrees for 11 hours, hand warmer, offering that gentle heat. I think that's gonna be really cool, really functional. It also allows you to keep your hands warm as maybe you're working in the cold weather with a flashlight, things like that. Something to keep in mind, however, you have to maintain a certain charge to even activate the hand warmer itself. And the way that you would do that is you would just press and hold these 2 buttons, and then there's a little red light. Hopefully you guys can see that. When that red light comes on, that indicates that the hand warmer, I can already feel it getting warm. That is gonna indicate that the hand warmer itself is activated, and we'll cycle through the functions here, but just know that you don't need to keep the flashlight on to use the hand warmer. Like I said, we're on now and there's no light coming out, so you can have just a hand warmer on if you'd like, but you can also conveniently enough have the hand warmer on as well as the flashlight. So really cool feature, really fun. This multifunction flashlight packs a lot of punch. All right, so let's finish this thing off talking about general impressions and build quality. It is sturdy enough. The aluminum sides offer some rigidity and some protection. If you shake, you can kind of feel the battery moving around in there just a little bit. I don't think that's going to affect functionality. The rubber sides seem really nice and waterproof. The metal clip to hang this seems really sturdy. It's in there nicely. It's not going to go anywhere, even if it's bouncing around or blown in the wind. I don't think you run any risk of this thing popping out or the mounting surface that it's mounted to breaking and snapping off. I think you're good there. The lenses also seem really clear, really sturdy. They're set in there. And then there's a lip on this front face. So if you put this thing face down, you're not coming in contact with the lenses themselves and you're not going to scratch them. I think that's pretty important. These panels are sturdy enough for what their functionality is. They're meant to like hang and illuminate. I don't know that I would use it as a kickstand. You could snap one of these off. I do wish that they had some twist to them, but I understand why they don't as well. And then they kind of sit in there nicely. I have one, full disclosure, that kind of dangles a little bit. I don't think that's a huge issue, but I do like that they are kind of positionable to some degree, and you can have one out, one in, things like that. They're independent of each other. Maybe you just need one to illuminate whatever areas there. You can do that as well. So sturdy wise, well built. I'm pretty happy with this package. It's a little hefty, but remember, this isn't your in your pocket everyday flashlight. This is gonna be what is essentially a camp work light. It's a utility tool. It's gonna use to heat your hands up in those cold days, power a cell phone or a small electronic device, and illuminate the area. If we're keeping that in mind, I think that this thing checks a lot of boxes. It offers a lot of stability and sturdiness for a flashlight. You can throw this thing in your glove box, your center console, your backpack, or your camping bin. I think it's gonna hold up just fine. It also comes in a nice little bag. You can put it in to protect all the surfaces if you'd like. It comes with a small charging cable. At the time of filming this video, we're coming in at about $89. If you think about the price point versus what you're getting, I think it's a pretty high value, but if you use the code OVERLANDeRoos, you can save 10%. I'm gonna link that in the description below. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for tagging along and checking out the Joule electric kettle, as well as the multifunction flashlight, all offered by Stoke Voltaics. And as always, I can't wait to see you on the trail.